Welcome to Rangers Radio on the Matchday show, the world's one and only unique live phone-in show for Rangers supporters all over the world. Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Well, hello and good evening. Welcome to Rangers Radio. Joining myself, Robert, on tonight's show is Port Bear. Evening, Port.
Evening, mate. How we doing?
I'm looking forward to the game, mate, but I'm a little bit nervous if I'm going to be honest. How are you feeling?
Pretty much ashamed of yourself, mate. I just pessimistic as always. Just going on what we've seen so far, and we're always like on here. We always, critique. I'm pretty honest. Just on what I've seen, mate. I just again with a wee quick discussion about the team before we come on, and I'm not sure how he's going to play it yet. I've got a few ideas in my head, but we look light, mate. We look light.
We certainly do, mate. We certainly do. So what we'll do, mate, is if you read out the team for us, we'll try and figure out how it's shaping up.
All right, so we've got in goal, Panda, Sterling, Fernandez, Macania, Neil, Raskin, Asgard, Yokota, Kasama, Shankland, Nadiri. The subs are tonight: Kelly, McCrory, Hutton, Dragijevic, Devlin, Chukwani, Barron, Cameron, McCausland, Curtis, Glasgow, and Miofsky.
All right, so I think we could safely say Pander's in goal, Shankland, Nadiri up front. Where's the rest going? How are you setting that up, mate?
Right, so in my head, I've got a 3-5-2. So back three are Sterling, Fernandez, Macania. Two sitters, Neil and Raskin. I think your width's going to come for Yokota and Gassama. So they'll be expected to come doing both flanks tonight. Asgard in the 10 role, and then Shankland in the DA up top. Maybe a 2 tonight, mate. That's the way I see it.
I'm quite similar, mate, but it would not surprise me if it's still a 4-4-2 and you see Dan Neil at left back. He has played there in the past, I believe with Sunderland, and he obviously played Dragijevic at right back at the weekend there, with McCrory and Sterling both on the bench. So don't be surprised if you do see Dan Neil popping up in the left back position. But what we could say, mate, is given the personnel that's available, it's attacking lineup.
Aye. Oh, we've got to go for it. We have got to go for it. This result tonight, in my opinion, mate, I've got sort of two views on it. I'm sort of one side of me in the camp where I'm like, would it be just better for us getting knocked out of the tournament and concentrating on the league while we're building this team, or to take us to that next step? We've got the other thought is, one, the money, number two, to attract a level of player to your club, you need to win one of the bigger European tournaments, in my opinion. So with the Europa team, you've got, that attraction as well. You're going to be playing a decent European tournament, mate.
It's funny you say that, mate, because there has been a few comments that I've seen online with people with a similar thought of they wouldn't mind giving Europe a miss this season to get stable again domestically and focus on that. But on the flip side, I totally understand the need for European football. As you said, finances involved for one, and then the pool of player you can get, the attraction of a Europa League compared to possibly a Conference League or none. So I don't think you're alone, mate, with their thoughts, to be honest with you, pal. But we'll go through the team. Obviously, the back three, maybe four. We'll say three, right? Sterling, Fernandez, and Macania. It kind of picked itself, mate, didn't it? McCrory's there as cover. There's obviously young Hutton on the bench as well. We'll come on to the bench as we go through the team. But defensively, there was no other options, was there?
No, that's us doing to be a minimum, mate, in my opinion. As I said, you look at young Huttons, on the bench. You know, that's pretty much your cover for that area. I think McCann had a positive debut, mate. I was quite impressed with it. Although we lost the game, I still was quite impressed with his debut against Hibs. Quite vocal and all. Watched the game again, put myself through that, I know, but I did watch the game again, mate, and he's quite vocal. He was probably, when I seen him a couple of times, he was getting at Fernandez, and that surprised me because I thought Fernandez usually a big talker. I've seen him do a lot of moaning as well, but Fernandez was always having sort of influence at the back, but no, it was McCann that was doing all the shooting. He's actually getting at him, which I was kind of glad about. And Sterling, mate, again, he picks himself. There's nobody else. What I like with Sterling, mate, he's got pace to get himself out of trouble. And that's one thing that back line has got. If that's the three they're going with, it is a 3-5-2 indeed. One thing don't lack at the back with M3, mate, is pace. Because I think they've got in their own way, they've all got decent pace or centre halves.
Probably the main thing for when you're playing a back three, as you'll know, mate, is if Fernandez is the centre of those three, he can't go wandering. He can't get caught in possession because after him, there's nobody. It's a one-on-one with Pandor. Sterling and McCann will always try and stretch it to give options for passes, but Fernandez has got to be disciplined if it is a back three.
Aye, 100%, mate, 100%. Both Fernandez and McCann, they remind me about Gary to them, mate. They love a wonder with that ball, and that's you're really relying on your captain tonight and your players like Dan Neil and Raskin who are going to be playing in front of them to keep that plenty of communication, keeping that chat, lines of communication open at all times to tell him he needs to be, as you say, the last man. He needs to be seeing the backsides of McCann and Sterling and be that central, focal point at the back. He's the experienced, campaign. He's been there long enough, mate. He's been there long enough. He should know his job, and I still believe he's not anywhere near the levels that we expect for a big player. I've said it on here last time I was on the show. Since the split, I think he's been absolutely rotten. I'm totally honest, but if he's got dreams, mate, and aspirations of moving on, with some of the clubs that was linked with him previously, he needs to get his finger out, mate. And he's been very lucky, I think, that we've not enough centre backs in the team with quality to stay in the team, mate. I don't like the negative, but that's what I feel about Big Fernandez. He's very lucky situation that for luck's sake Godfrey's not fit, because he might have found himself out of the team.
I don't disagree with you, mate. I don't disagree at all. I think if there was options there, it would have posed a more thought for Derek McInnes to decide whether Fernandez deserved a spot in the starting lineup or if it was a good decision to bring him out. But he's obviously starting tonight. And as you touched on there, the midfield, if it is a midfield five, you've got Neil and Raskin sitting. Dan Neil's been a bit of a player that I know you came on and said similar to a Joe Rothwell. And Raskin's come back into the fold from his World Cup campaign. And he's kind of come in and, would you say the levels improved in midfield when Raskin's involved? It might not be everybody's cup of tea. A lot of people probably thought we've seen the last of him. But he's here. And if that's the two he goes with, mate, then that's the two. But are the two similar or do they offer something different?
Mate, my thoughts on Nico Raskin. I love him, man. I really do. And then, with the World Cup we had, that's what I want to see. I want to see the World Cup Nico Raskin tonight, mate. I don't want to see Nico Raskin that, shot me passes and hiding in between the back three at times, or try to split the defenders and hide in between them. I want Nico Raskin to get, if it comes to Dan Neil does most of the sitting, mate, and especially Ibrox, Raskin gets forward a bit more and goes and helps out when we can, when it's safe to do so. Raskin can get forward because he's proved during the World Cup, he's proved that Ibrox, he can be, quite a good, at opening up defences, great wee dinks into the box, etc. Good at finding people, and he's a goal threat as well. So, again, when required, when we can. Again, communication. Neil and Raskin have to talk, and decide who's sitting and who's going at time, because I'm hoping we're going to go on the front foot, mate. I really am. And that'll be a big difference if we can get that one extra out of that midfield and go and helping the boys up top.
Well, I touched on it at the weekend that he wanted extra bodies in the box, particularly when the ball's in the good wide areas. And that's an area I think we'll try and get the ball to quickly tonight. And that's Yokota out right and Gassama out in the left. They've both got the pace. Yokota looked lively at the weekend. He caused a few problems. He done a couple of bits of skill and almost created a chance for Chimiti that was blocked on the line. Gassama showed when he came on, he caused a bit of an impact, gets the goal from the own goal, but he puts the ball in rather than cutting back, which is something you don't see him doing. But the wide areas, mate, that is an area we need to get the ball out to the guys quickly and see if they can produce the quality for the likes of Asgard, who will probably be in the 10, I think you touched on, and Shankland and Nadiri.
Aye, well, with the pace they two have got, they two are electric, mate. I'm really excited about Yokota. For all the money we paid for him, mate, and I know we've only seen over 2 games, seen some of his highlights with clips and that have been sent, etc. But he looks a real threat in behind, especially. He doesn't quite confident wee guy. He's diminutive in size, and stature, but he's up and down that line, mate, and I think he'll only improve with more games at Ibrox. I think he'll, grow once this team's grown as well. I think we've not seen anywhere near what this wee fella capable of, mate. We've seen it in flashes, but I always say, mate, speed kills, and I hope the manager's message tonight is, get used to, get at them and take them on. Especially Gassama, mate. I want to see Gassama going by his defender tonight. Not always coming inside. I want to see him, switch up at times. And the thing is, you get Gassama and Yokota as well. They could switch at times, mate. I want to see, but even if they have to switch at times, just to change things up, make it different. Keep them thinking. I just think we need to be McInnes as well. He can only pick what he's got here, Robert. He can only pick what he's got. But I hope the message is clear tonight, and he's been very positive, and with the lads that he's picked tonight.
Well, I'm sure we could hear that message from Derek McInnes right now. I think Fox has got it teed up, so let's hear from Derek McInnes.
Derek, second leg here at Ibrox. What sort of challenge are you expecting tonight?
Yeah, well, it is a challenge. I think the game's finally poised, but obviously the emphasis is on us to show initiative. We've got 90 minutes to turn the game round, but we would ideally like a quick start. We want to let them know that we're in where we are in the game. We want to try and impose ourselves on it. I think it's important we set out our stall, but we've got to be mindful they are a team who consistently want to play on transitions. They like to fill the middle of the pitch, and they will break quickly. So we're trying to pick a team where we can make sure we're aware of that, but also try and hurt them in the wider areas of the pitch as much as we can. So we've tried to be really bold with the team. It's no secret we're a left back short, and because where they want to play their bodies, I didn't really want to play a right-footed player at left back to constantly coming in the pitch all the time. So there's a wee element of risk with the team. It's quite bold, the team, but I think it's sometimes you have to be that. And I don't want us to play safe and play cagey for the opening part of the game. I just would like us to try and start really strong, start really confident with what we're trying to do, and try and put a bit more stress on their back lot. I thought we got that second half for some periods over there. And it's the intention to try and give them a lot more of that sort of stress, hopefully on their back lot as much as we can.
And how big a role do you think the crowd will have to play tonight as well?
Well, I think it's always important with the crowd, but I think it's for us to tap into what we've got here with the crowd, is to give them a kind of attitude on the team, on the pitch, to try and be positive, be confident. And we've got to tap into that and make sure we use it for something, because I think you saw over there, they fed off their crowd, but equally we can do that here with our fans, but they've got to see what they're seeing on the pitch as well, and it goes hand in hand. But if we can get that connection tonight, of all nights, in a European night, then it certainly helps your cause, and it plants a seed of doubt in theirs, I think, because when this place gets rocking and gets as big as loud as it can be, it's difficult to stop, and it's important that we try and remember that.
Is it building on that second half showing on Sunday as well?
Yeah, I think with what we've had, for whatever reason, we've had strong second half performances probably in the main, or stronger. We're still a long way short of where we want to do in terms of a complete performance, but I think for us to win this game against this opponent, we have to have more of a 90-minute performance, and that's what we're trying to stress to the players, that don't waste the opening part of the game, don't settle into the game, don't just get your feelers out and just kind of play safe and all the rest of it. I think we've got to be bold. I think we've got to try and be brave and try and start as we mean to go on.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Thanks for that, Fox. But he said he's been bold and brave with the lineup and the formation. He's basically telling us it's a 3-5-2 without saying it. For me, anyway.
Aye, I think he's pretty clear, mate. I think his message here was pretty much what I was going along and saying myself there. You have to go for it. There's no doubt about it. Do you want to stay in competition? And he's bang on with the situation with the fans here. The fans are going there right. By full house, typical European night. Thursdays were my favourite Rangers nights. So you want right away to get in touch with them. Give them something to cheer about. Let's get a goal in the first 10 minutes if we can, and get this crowd behind you. Because there's no doubt, mate, in terms of support, when we've got that place rocking, as the manager just mentioned, it must be a cauldron to play in when that stadium's like that. It's bouncing. You've been in it yourself, mate. It's absolutely fantastic when the stadium feels as if it's bouncing. And that's what we want to see, because that helps, and that'll hopefully put the pressure on that other team as well, because they've maybe not experienced anything like this. I know there's some big teams in the Polish league, but you're away at Ibrox tonight in a European tie where, this was your tournament, mate. I don't care what anybody says. You were a club and over a stadium that people feared to come. Talking about your Dortmunds, your Leipzigs and all that carry on. We made Ibrox a fortress and somewhere to be really feared in Europe. And I want to get back to there as quick as possible, mate.
Here, but the thing is, as you said, the fans will only respond to what they see on the pitch, and he's right to address it, that it's got to be right on the pitch for the fans to give them that energy. So if it's not right on the pitch, the fans will voice it. You've heard it before, and it's not been the first time you've heard the moans and the groans. It can cause Rangers problems, but once the noise gets up when you're behind the team, as you say, it's an added bonus and an added factor. But listen, pal, there's people joining us all the time. If you don't mind, give us the team again, and then we'll look at the bench a wee bit as well.
Cool, mate. So in goals with Panda, Sterling, Fernandez, Macania, Neil, Raskin, Asgard, Yokota, Gassama, Shankland, Nadiri. Subs tonight are Kelly, McCrory, Hutton, Dragijevic, Devlin, Chukwane, Barron, Cameron, McCausland, Curtis, Glasgow and Miofsky.
When you look at the bench, mate, it does show that we're still very thin, very light in certain areas. If we just look at them, McCrory, we know he's had a knock of late. Hutton, a young boy. Dragijevic will come back to. Devlin, he's showed us what Devlin does, but again, he got a bit of a knock and a niggle. Chukwane appeared out of nowhere last week in an unusual position.
Yeah.
Connor Barron, not been seen. Lyle Cameron, not been seen. McCausland, not been seen. Curtis showed glimpses, was taken off at half-time in a few games. Kyle Glasgow, who's been doing well at Alloa. And Miofsky, who was in the stand on Sunday, is now on the bench. There's numbers, but how many there are ready, fit, and an option, really?
Numbers, mate, and experience on there. I'm excited to be on Kyle Glasgow. I mean, I've got to admit, I've got to give that boy special mention. What I've seen of that boy, he looks like he's going to be a real gem, and I'm glad he signed that deal with to stay with. Miofsky's back into the stands again on the bench. We know what Miofsky brings, and it's what exactly that Shankland and Nadiri are going to need, mate. It's service for me. I think the strikers we've been left with now, mate, need service. That's what I've said about Shankland before. Big Nadiri and Miofsky need service. It's not like Big Chermiti where he can pull something out the bag himself. Capable of, he's got pace. The big man Chermiti. Also a touch. You've seen some of the goals he scored, mate. He just creates stuff for himself, and that's great to have as a number 9. But the others, what we've been left with, all need service. Everyone needs service, and that's important tonight. But say Barron, I like Barron, mate. You know that. I do really like Conor Barron. I say it on here, but him and Devlin, I still think Barron's a better player than Devlin is. But Devlin's here now and he's here to stay. Jagiellonia, still 50-50 best guy, mate. I don't know where he's. I find it hard to work out where his best position is at times. And when they get put in that sort of 10 role at the weekend, I was like, well, where did that come from? Because I've never seen him playing in that role before. So there is some quality on the bench, mate, but there's a lot of doubt on the bench as well.
I mentioned Dragiellonia there as well, and of course we've seen him at the weekend starting at right back. Came off at half time. McInnes explained it was a tactical one because he was on the yellow card as well. But when you look at the team, you've got Raskin and Neil in there. Dragiellonia was signed from Partizan, mate. He's been a young captain over there. He's only 20 years of age. He's captained the side. Are you surprised that he's not had as much game time so far, based on the kind of reputation he's came with and the fact that we looked as him as a kind of player that would be a new figurehead in this midfield?
Aye, mate, because we went after him hard. We paid decent money for him. The fact that he's, like as you said, he was part of the Belgrade's captain at 20. So they obviously seen a lot in him. They're a big side, mate. They're a big side. Well thought of throughout Europe for years. So I just think, I don't know what message did they give the boy, when he signed. Was he told he would be a starter? Was he told, you need to build yourself into the team? I'd like to think if I was a captain of a team, I'd be if I was signing for a new team, I'd be going to say, I'd be going there with a sort of message in my head that, like you said there, mate, you're coming here to play, son. You're coming here to, be one of your big physical focal points in the midfield. He's a unit, mate, by the way. I didn't realise he was just a tall and so broad for a 20-year-old. He's an absolute unit. He's, a big boy for 20, mate. Again, he's another one that sort of excites because of stuff I'd seen him in highlights and stuff. I found it. I get he's settling in, mate, and I get it's been difficult because we're not playing well. I always makes it harder for me for a manager to try and bleed new players when you're a new manager and you're trying to find your best formation. Derek McInnes, in my opinion, still trying to find his team. He's still trying to find a formation that fits. I think he's moving from game to game, mate. He's looking at what he's playing in front of him, and he's adjusting the team to the requirements of who he's playing against at the moment. I still don't think we're playing with Derek McInnes' own identity, his philosophy, if you like. I think game by game, mate, the manager's changing it to suit at the moment because he doesn't know, 1, 9 players, try to bed 9 players into the team, and number 2, he doesn't know his best formation.
I suppose it doesn't help when the window's still open as well, that there's transfers that can come and go, for one.
Yeah.
And secondly, you can't really get that formation until you know who's available. And obviously you get injuries like Romans and Chermiti. If that happens, you need to change your plans.
You can't, right? See what's happened to Rangers in the first 2 games of the season, mate. Godfrey, Romans, 50% of your defence, and then you lose your number 9, your starting number 9 in the first 2 games of the season, mate. You couldn't write it. I tell you, there's a jinx at your club at the moment. Because that doesn't happen to you. That's 3 starters, Robert. That's 3 starters that would be probably guaranteed names in the sheet, would you say, right? And, everyone was sitting in the house tonight watching it telly. It's just frustrating as hell, mate. Absolutely frustrating. For me anyway, I just feel it's not the boys' fault, it's not the club's fault, it's not McInnes' fault. It's just the way the luck's running with our club at the moment. When you're doing this, people kick you when you're doing. By God, we're getting kicked. While we're doing.
We're not half, mate, but we've been here before. We know how this works, but it's up to us to try and change it and rectify it, and that's obviously got to start tonight with a win, mate, because it's an important game. We've not started well, obviously the draw and then the defeat, so we're not in a good position at the minute in terms of a start for Derek McInnes or a start for these players. But tonight, you've got to go and win the game, and you know yourself, mate, history can show that it could be a catalyst for a bit of momentum, a bit of confidence, particularly the back line, not to concede any goals. If we get a clean sheet, it's a bonus. And the strikers to try and get their chances away, mate.
100%, mate. You know, in terms of that, this could be a springboard almost, Robert. These guys have got a chance tonight. You know, Natiri's in the team, can meet his suit. Majowski's there as well. Shanklin as well is going to be important. Like, he's an experienced figurehead up there. He's captain tonight as well. So, you know, these guys have all got a chance tonight. You know, Neil, Macania, Fernandez again to, you know, try and lift his season so far. To go and prove to, you know, the guys and the fans at the stadium, their manager, that they're good enough to beat our club, mate, and they're good enough to take this club forward. Because, you know, a lot of confidence as well, Robert. See we get that result, and a good positive result, and a good positive performance over 90 minutes. Can I ask for that as well, please? You know, a win can do hundreds for your team, Robert, and personally for players. Just get into that stadium, leaving that stadium, and feeling your heart's full, and you've had a good game, and it just springboards you at times, mate, to the next game. Instead of getting to the next game, you're doing, you know, you're lifted, training's better during the week, the boys' morale's up a wee bit, you know what I mean? So, they need to use this, mate. They need to use this as, I would use it, personally, I would use it as fuel. If I was a manager, that's what I'd be saying to these guys. You've got a chance. Go and state your claim. Show me what you've got. You know, as you said, the transfer window's still open. Your club could still be making moves to add, and you know, some might still go. We just don't know. But while you're at your club, mate, and you're playing for them, you're paying your contract, go in and give 100%. That's all I would ask for, mate, and I'm always happy with that.
Yeah. We've also spoke about the attacking threat that Yokota and Gassama can offer with a pace. And Yokota, as I said on Sunday, looked quite lively. Gassama we've seen in moments, but if it is a 3-5-2, mate, as we're led to believe from what Derek was indicating there in his interview, defensively, they guys have got a job to do as well, tracking back. We've seen how dangerous their left winger, Schmidt, could be last week, getting the goals from that left-hand side. So Yokota, particularly, has got a defensive job, but so does Gassama.
Aye, they can't switch off tonight, mate. As I said to you earlier on, that you know the boy Schmidt, his tail's going up tonight. He'll be thinking he can get at them tonight, because this time he's not going to be facing a fullback. He's going to be placed, you know, probably Macania for me will play on the right, maybe, hopefully, to maybe try and negate some of Schmidt's pace. And whoever's sitting on that side, whether it be Neil or Raskin, are going to need to go out and try and help at times as well, I think, to fill in space. But yeah, your Cotter and Gassama, mate, have got to do their jobs tonight, both ways. It's got to be both ways for them, mate. As I said to you earlier on as well, before the show started, I'd like to see, you know, if they're not getting a change out of each defender, I'd like to see a bit of movement and a bit of switching for them too. Because we know your Cotter likes to come in with his left, but there's nothing wrong with switching and letting your Cotter run at the left back and go and run him as well. You know what I mean? The opposite way. I'd like to just see a bit of movement tonight, mate. A wee bit something different.
I think that's an observation that a lot of supporters, and myself included, mates, noticed in these early games, is that the tempo has been quite slow and laboured. The build-up has always been very pedestrian in front of other teams. There's been no kind of penetrating passes. You look back at Sunday's game, you've seen Fernandez and Macania playing the ball through the line that you're expecting a midfielder to do. But we don't have those kind of guys in that midfield. So, importantly, the wide guys are going to be the key, as Derek's touched on. But it's a whole team performance. The tempo needs to improve, the urgency, the desire, but being switched on. And I think the biggest word you said earlier was communication, particularly defensively. I don't expect Jagiellonia to come at us, mate. I know they'll smell blood. I'm expecting them to be a low block, and we have seen how we can struggle with a low block. So it's about how we dictate that and open them up with the tempo. The only way you get in behind is if you move the ball quick. If you don't, you're only allowing the defence to reshape and get in position, and it's hard to break them down.
It's been a frustrating thing for me for pre-season, mate, and the first 2 league games of the season as well. I wondered where our press has gone. I wondered where, at times walking at, pedestrian pace. walking pace football. Never been a success. Never in my lifetime anyway. And like you said, I think they will. They have scouted Rangers, mate. They know that we find it difficult to deal with a low block. And don't be surprised if they sit in with just 5-4-1 and try and hit us in the counter because they've got pace to hurt us. That might well be their full intention. So let's let them come at us. We'll just sit and hit them in the counter. But Robert, we really need to move that ball quicker. That ball needs to be moved. I think we could even be playing 20-30 yards further up the pitch as well. If they're going to sit deep, then we should be pushing, up the pitch. Again, as I say, 30 yards further and squeezing them in and keeping them in there. Because like I said, I think we've got a pace at the back and M3, to dare, go and win this game and be brave and be positive. I just don't see them. I think they realised they got out of there last week, mate. I think we were unlucky not to get the draw. I've got to be honest. I thought the second half performance, we were unlucky not to get a draw. So they're not going to come here and try and open us up. I don't think that either myself. But I think they'll try and make it better. They'll certainly make it difficult for us, mate.
It's interesting what you said there, mate, about playing higher up the pitch and further. When you're playing with that 3-5-2, is that something we've got to watch when the right time is to press high? We know Panda likes to play the kind of sweeper keeper, and that'll come in quite handy if they do try and go in behind that back three. But the gaps between the midfield and defence, you've got to know when to press, when to hold off. And if one guy does it and the other one doesn't, the link's broke, mate, as you know.
Aye, no, 100%. That's how I touched on earlier on. Communication is key, right? If what, so far under McInnes, but I've not seen a press, right? So I'm just saying what I would like to see. Where what I like to see pressing football. I like to see Rangers, going and turn the ball over. If you lost the ball, go 6 seconds, get it back. Go and hunt in packs and get it back. Again, I'm looking for guys like Raskin and Neil who are experienced players to be the vocal point in that midfield, right? And if we are pressing or if we are pushing another 20-30 yards forward, if they're sitting on us, then they have to be talking constantly, mate, and making sure they gaps aren't found by Jagiellonia. That's just a fact, mate. We just need to make sure they're talking, they're communicating at all times, and there's no gaps being left. Because if you're talking, you're organised, mate, and your shape's right, then why can't you play 20 yards, 30 yards higher, and go and make that difference? What do I say? Let's keep them in here. Let's keep them in. Let's kill them. And as I say, if we do things with a bit of pace, mate, if we're a wee bit quicker, we're moving the ball. I said earlier on with regards to the wingers, speed kills. Then if you're moving the ball quickly from left to right, stretching them, getting in, making spaces, getting positive runs for the forward line and Asgard again, finding nice wee passes and good link-ups with the strike force. Well, we're good enough to beat them. I believe that 100%. We are good enough to beat them.
I agree, mate. I think we're good enough to beat them. They're obviously coming in to the game on the back of a defeat as well as ourselves from the weekend. So the confidence in both camps will probably be down, particularly from the weekend. But I'd say us more so because of the start we've had. But as we've touched on throughout the show, it's down to us. But we've put ourselves in this position with the performances and the results. Tonight is a massive, massive game, which seems bizarre because it's so early in the season. But that just tells you where we're at the minute, as we've touched on in other shows and with a chat before the show as well. You've got 9 players in the door. You look at the team, arguably it's a team that you probably would have went with, or most of them went with, maybe an odd 1 or 2 changes. When you look at the bench, it's very thin. So early on in a season, a big game has come this early. It's bizarre.
Aye. We should have been well ready, mate, for this situation. As we touched on, the signings we've made so far, and so far, got a total negative nearly, but this we're saying so far made a difference to our team. If anything, people would argue we've maybe went back a wee step. And I'm just hoping that's down to the new signings bedding in. I'm hoping that's what it is, mate. I hope it's not down to quality. I just hope it's just down to new boys bedding into the new club. I just, mate. I worry about the level of quality. I do worry about it. I've got to be honest. I do worry about it, and I hope the fact they've went and signed the boy Drea should be at PSV at 7 million. Hopefully that's the start. The way they mean to go on in terms of quality, that 7 million mark, that wee bit more. Because there's no doubt, mate. The sort of market we've been shopping in between 3s and 5s, it's not been good enough, mate. We spoke about this last time you were on a show. It's been pretty unsuccessful. And if you want to go and get the real quality, mate, I'm afraid you've got to pay the bigger pennies and go and get them. Don't be penny pinching. Just go and get them. But they're needed. They're needed. With the three injuries and not having the new player three-ish, in the door quick enough to get me playing for the night, etc. It's just been, again, mate, more pressure on the squad, more pressure on the manager that we don't need. The season so far has been difficult enough to start without adding, the recruitment problem to, add more pressure to my squad and my manager, mate.
Aye, it's certainly been a whirlwind of a first couple of weeks, and as you say, there's still, I think it's 18 days or 17 days of the window still to go. So there's going to be a movement as much as we can try. I know we've heard quotes over the past few days of 3 to 5 players in. Driek obviously being one of them. Injuries may increase that, and there's still a chance for people to go out the door. I think we could all agree, mate, that there is ones there that need to go for the sake of their career, but also get off the wage books to help us.
Aye, no, definitely. I see
A player in that can improve the squad. Yeah. That's it.
Aye, no, I agree, mate. I seen young Barron being linked with Sevilla and West Ham, mate. So, aye, and I'm not still not sure if Raskin's going to stay, mate. So, 18 days, mate. A lot can happen in 18 days, and I hope the recruitment team are doing double shifts to try and get us the quality that's needed. To let us take the next step, next level, and to continue. Number one, continue this in this tournament. Number two, see this squad and team in the manager a hand to get us back in track in the league, mate. Because we would never have dreamt this start. When you go sign the players we've signed, and you think, right, good. We've got a not good number of signings in. Hopefully, make a difference to the team. The new gaffer and all that. New gaffer bounds, which it's not really happened yet. So again, I think team as a whole, mate, the manager, they need help. They need help. I think the manager's been pretty clear about that, even in his own words in his interviews. They need experience and they need help, mate.
Just come back to the night's game, pal. Obviously, keen to see everybody play well, but we've spoke about the tempo and the urgency, particularly getting the ball forward. Is Raskin a key figure tonight for you? If not, who is?
No, Raskin's, for me, right, mate, Raskin's more or less like he'll be like your vice captain in there, and for me, right, mate. He's the one that should be in there. Being the World Cup, he's played in that great Belgium squad. The quarterfinals they got to. He played very well. Started for him regular. He's a big experienced figure, mate, on the international scene as well now. So I want to see him, puff his chest out and get tore in it. And this team, he should be getting tore into them if they're not pulling their weight or if he sees gaps, etc. I'm expecting a lot from Nico Raskin tonight, mate. Especially with, as I said, he started. He's in the engine room. You know what I mean? So I'm expecting a lot from him tonight. Also, Asgard, mate. I don't want to see none of this tippy-tappy flicky stuff in it of him. I really don't, mate. At times, I understand you can get away with it when you're 2 and 3-0 up, and it's nice to see. But listen, son, get a haircut and start getting back to your basics of football first before you start all these things, because if it frustrates the life out of me. I can see quality, right? I can see absolute quality in the boy. I really can. But he just, at times, he flicks and the tricks and the wee, pressure he puts under at the time when he loses the ball, it rips my knitting out, mate. He really does. He really does. So I want to see him, really perform tonight. And then the other main man is obviously the captain, Shankland. He needs to get his monkey off his back, mate, and go and get that goal. Because I do believe when Shankland gets one, he will go on a run and score a few, mate. I do believe that. That's my
It's a
dream.
it's a bit of a concern at the minute. I know it's still early, but we've not scored from open play. Our goals have been Asgard obviously get a goal at Dundee United. That's the only goal, but an own goal last weekend against Jagiellonia, an own goal at
Weekend.
Hibs,
Yep.
and obviously Shankland's only goal has been a penalty. That's the only striker that scored this season for us. So I know it's still early, but as you say, if you get the service, he's a goal scorer. And Nadiri's a guy who we've not really seen as a vocal point up front. He likes to drop deep. I think him and Shankland are quite similar in that way. They like to drop deep and receive the ball and hold it up and bring others into play. But if Asgard's in that spot, then there's no excuse to not have the bodies in the box for the guys to cross the balls into and cause some problems.
No, hopefully the manager gets that sorted in the first 10 minutes, mate. I either want to see Asgard in that sort of hole in front of them two, and them two as in right on top of the two centre backs. Because there's no doubt Nadiri's an absolute handful, mate. He's an absolute handful, and I'm sure he'll win a lot in there tonight. And if Shankland can get in about Runham, and again their communication's right. Shankland should be able to feed off him. That'd be my message with the two of them. It's just them two again have got to talk. The manager's instructions got to be followed through. You'd be saying to Shankland, just you get run him, and again, the service is critical, mate. I've been saying it so far, and it's only early in the season, but I've been banging on about it since pre-season and 2 games so far. If there's no service to your strikers, especially ones left now, these guys won't score, right? They won't score. They're not going to run by people. They've not got pace to burn, so they rely on service, mate. It's a fact. We've seen Shankland play. We've seen Mosky play. I know Nadiri's one of your club, you guys at the club relatively, but they need service, mate. But that's my message. I'd be saying to Shankland, you just get in about that box where you should be, because you're absolute fox in the box. And Big and DA should be going win everything for him, knockdowns, whatever. And go try and get the ball to Shankland and get them two as close as they can. And then behind him, you've got Asgard who can hopefully open up that defence. And we know Asgard's capable for, 30 yards, mate, as well. So let's hope it has a few goals in his locker tonight as well.
Here's hoping, mate. Here's hoping. Right, just before we wrap up, mate, I'm going to put you on the spot. Your prediction, how it's going to go.
Oof.
I said
2-0 to
last
Rangers.
night. That's exactly as I said last night, mate. 2-0. I think if it's not pretty, I don't care as long as we win the game and get through.
No, I don't care, mate. I don't even care if Ricochet scores tonight. I don't care. That'll do me, mate, and we get through. Any result, any positive result, and we get through to the next round, then I'm happy.
Cheers, Bill. Thanks for joining me. Always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Cheers, my man. Thank you.
Of course, thanks to Port for doing the show with me. Thanks to Fox and Old School Blue in the background for doing the technicals, and everybody that's joined in the YouTube and Facebook and any other platforms you're listening on. This has been Rangers Radio. We'll be back 15 minutes after the final whistle, celebrating our Rangers victory and progression in Europe. Thanks for listening, and we'll speak to you after the game. Come on, the Rangers.
As we go marching down the Paisley Road, the west, the doors and the windows open wide. You will hear the people cheer, the Glasgow Rangers boys are here. It's Glasgow Rangers for me. Blue is the colour, football is the game. We're all together, Glasgow Rangers is our name. For we are the best team in all Scotland, and Glasgow Rangers is our name. So bring on the Celtic, your Hibs and Aberdeen, your Dundee United, we're the best you've ever seen. We play hand on heart, God save the Queen, It's Glasgow Rangers for me. As we go marching down the Paisley Road West, the doors and the windows open wide, you will hear the people cheer, the Glasgow Rangers boys are here. It's Glasgow Rangers for me. Blue is the colour, football is the game. We're all together, Glasgow Rangers is our name. For we are the best team in all Scotland, and Glasgow Rangers is our name. So bring on the Celtic, your Hibs and Aberdeen, your Dundee United, we're the best you've ever seen. We play hand on heart, God save the Queen. It's Glasgow Rangers for me. It's Glasgow Rangers for me. It's Glasgow Rangers for me.